So here's a little thought for today, and this is kind of inspired by the conversation I had. I don't know if you listened to my podcast, but I had a conversation recently with Natalie Kogan, who is the founder of Happier and the creator of the Happier method. And she talked a lot about energy. And I know I've kind of mentioned this quite a few times, but the energy we put out into the world is generally the energy that we get reflected back. So you look at people who stomp around in a bad mood all day because life is unfair, and life kind of reflects that back to them. You know, if you go around scowling at people all day, people tend to scowl back. And the same thing goes with when you're in an upbeat, happy, positive, generous mood. You know, you're holding the door for people, you're smiling at people, and they smile it back. Not everyone. You might encounter someone who's got very negative energy and is stomping around and they don't want to see your smile, but generally your energy is reflected back to you. And you look at all these successful people, whether you love them or hate them. You've got Joe Wicks, the body coach, Jamie Oliver, Russell Brand. They all have high energy. You know what I mean? So, and that is reflected back to them. You know, they get all this kind of wonderful buzz about what they do. You know, and it works out very well for them. Their positive outlook is reflected back to them positively. They've built empires. They've kind of achieved things, built things, done things. You know, and there are people out there not in the public eye who similarly have this kind of good, strong, vibrant energy. And they are open, and the world is open for them. Opportunities present themselves. You know, these are the same opportunities that are there for many of us. But because we're going around in this kind of fog and we don't have the energy around, you know, the open energy and the positive energy, we're letting these things pass us by as we go about our day, kind of lost in here, wondering what's going on. Now, I'm typically a low energy kind of guy. I'm not very kind of loud. I'm not very kind of buoyant and ebullient, if you like. But there's also this other kind of energy that goes along. So you can be calm and you can be quiet like me, like a little mouse, and you can still harness that positive energy. But there's also this other energy, this negative energy, this kind of energy where you're sacrificing all the time. And Natalie Kogan, who I interviewed in my podcast, she talked about how she was working really hard to build the life that she wanted to build, get the material things going, the career progression, so that she would get the rewards and find happiness from that, and satisfaction and contentment. But she was exhausted. She was working so hard. So everything that she was built, everything that she was achieving was coming with a side order of stress and anxiety. So whenever she kind of made time for her family, it was hard-won time. You know, whenever she did something for her children, cook their dinner, it came with this extra kind of exhaustion and stress and anxiety. So we have to really work hard to protect our energy. And that's really hard at the moment. We literally, you know, when you are lost in news media like I am all the time, and it's a habit I need to get out of, and generally my mood and my energy reflects my engagement with the negativity of some of the aspects of the world. So the world is on fire at the moment. You know, we're seeing the climate crisis, we're seeing COVID-19, we're seeing you know, rightful anger on the streets about hundreds of years of oppression by an unfair system, and it's all coming to a head. And it can be hard to maintain a positive energy. And you have to maintain a positive energy and a vibrant, strong energy, because that is an energy that drives you forward. And, you know, if you want to be an activist, you need to harness that energy, because the more we let our energy get dulled down and worn down, the less effective we can be in our own lives and in terms of doing good things for other people and living righteously and, you know, having high standards for ourselves and for others. So we need to protect our energy. And that requires compassion, self-compassion. So just think about this. Think about every time you sacrifice, every time you put in those long hours at work, you know, to justify your salary because you don't think you're worthy of getting paid because you're not working hard enough. You know, how much longer can you keep doing that before you start to actually resent the job that you're doing and resent the kind of the pay that you're getting? You know, how much longer can you start sacrificing for the people you love before you start to resent having to do these things for them. It's coming from not from the right place. So we have to look after ourselves so that we have the right energy for the job. So here's the thing, love yourself, right? You have to love yourself. You have to look after yourself. You have to think about the day and think, what can I get from today? How can I make today work for me? How can I align it with what is important to me? And sometimes that means taking yourself away, getting rest. I talk about this kind of the mind, body, spirit thing. And the reason this phrase exists is because there's this holy trinity, if you like, the sacred trinity of your mind, your body, and your spirit. You have to look after all three of those. If any one of those is out of whack, then the others start to happen. So that means getting sleep. It means looking after yourself spiritually, looking after yourself mentally. Stop consuming all the negativity of the world. I tweet, but I've had to bring myself away from Twitter because there's so much anger and hatred on there, and it starts to get to me. So I have to bring myself away, because otherwise everything eventually starts to feel futile. And it's the same with our lives. Sometimes it's like, I went through a period where I was kind of thinking to myself, I would love to be successful. I would love to be better than I am now and having a happy life. But A, what's the point? It'll never happen for me. And B, it's all futile. I'm not worthy. And we have to start loving ourselves. Happiness is an inside job. And when we nurture it in ourselves by looking after ourselves, thinking we are worthy, doing righteous actions, and I don't just mean righteous actions as in changing the world and going on marches. I mean just the way we conduct ourselves day to day. I mean looking after ourselves, not behaving, not letting our standards drop, not behaving in ways unbecoming of who we want to be. And protect that energy. And then wherever you go and whatever you do, that energy comes with you. So sometimes the actions say one thing, but the energy says another thing. Have you ever heard someone say thank you, but say it in a way that is quite the opposite? So you say, well, thank you. And then they say, well, I said thank you. It's that same kind of thing. So your energy precedes you. So you can walk into a room with the most positive message, but if you don't have that energy, that positive energy of the message, then you have kind of, it's cancelled itself out. So protect your energy at all costs. All right, there's a rambling, hopefully not nonsensical thought for today, but there you go. Protect your energy at all costs. All right, cheers.